the dark side of house hacking and minimalism, or the downside, was that, hi everyone, my name is Nish, welcome to the Nish of All Trades channel. Today I want to talk to you about a giant experiment that my wife and I took part in the past year and a half or so. It's the idea of minimalism and house hacking, and combining both ideas to be better off in a number of ways. For example, we're trying to improve our financial goals, our savings goals, trying to have less stuff in this consumerist world. We were trying to minimize the amount of clutter we had in our space. And we also want to reduce our environmental impact as well if possible. And third, it would potentially allow us to live life on our own terms, in the sense that two of us would not have to work full-time jobs to survive. And so all of these positives combined made us feel that we want to take the plunge with both house hacking and being more minimalist. So a year and a half ago, we had the idea that we should move into a rental that we own that was outside of the Greater Toronto area. And what we would do, it was a 2-unit house. What we would do is we would live in the main level unit, which is only about 650 square feet. And this would be a downsize for us. Was as a family of 4, we would be moving from a space that was about 1,800 square feet to a space that was about 650 square feet. And it was certainly a bit extreme for us, but the benefits were there. We felt the fact that we could go from having shelter costs. So when I say shelter costs, I'm talking about your mortgage, your property tax, your utilities, your property insurance. All of that combined, our shelter costs were roughly about $2,300 a month. If we move into the smaller space and rent out the other unit and house hack, which is the idea where you reduce your shelter costs by renting out a portion of your home. It's just the cool term for just renting out your basement or renting out part of your space, and it's called house hacking. If we apply that to that 2-unit house that we owned as a rental, we could reduce our shelter costs by 70%. So we'd go from $2,300 to $700 a month. And that idea was really appealing because, for 2 reasons really. One, we would accelerate our savings rate, and we would also be able to have one parent raise our kids full time, which is a wild concept, a wild idea these days, because most of the time in general in society, both parents have to work full time these days to survive and outsource child rearing, which is a crazy thing. And when you think about it, it's, I guess, a fairly new concept. I feel, I'm not a historian, but the idea where you have to outsource your child rearing these days to survive is just bizarre. And it was really pointed out in a book I read called Early Retirement Extreme. And I highly recommend that book to anyone who's interested in financial independence and improving their financial literacy. And so we thought, wow, that would be great. One parent being home with the kids. It would be a lot of work to raise our own kids, but it would certainly be valuable to us and to them as well. And we'd actually save more money. That sounded really appealing. So we took the plunge. We moved into this space over a year ago. The space we're in right now is the living room / bedroom for my wife and I. We actually bought these Japanese tatami mats off of Amazon, along with a Japanese mattress called a shikibuton. It's really just a big cotton bed, completely organic. We had bought it a few months before we moved here, switched it out for our North American box beds. And the versatility of that bed was that you could roll it up and put it away in a IKEA closet along with the tatami mat. So that's what we did to make the space more multifunctional, and that way it could be converted into a living room during the day, and the kids could run around, watch their TV on where the TV was on this wall. That bed actually we got from Japan. It's pretty cool. It's a family that's been making these Japanese beds for about four generations. Made that bed for us. It was really neat. And so that's how we made this space more multi-purpose. So that's the living room. This is the bedroom that my daughter slept in. Good sized bedroom, but also a play space during the day. And the kitchen was a nice open space here as well. And really it was pretty functional. And we did have another room that we used as an office, pantry, closet, and additional storage space as well. The key takeaways from this whole experiment of house hacking and becoming more minimalist by having less stuff and actually moving into a smaller space was that, positively speaking, one parent could be home full-time with the kids. That was a huge positive for the kids and for the parent. Number two, we were able to increase our savings rate. Number three, connected to number two, is we reduced our shelter costs by 70%. The other benefit is that just having less unnecessary stuff was mentally freeing as well. And so lots of positives. However, the dark side of house hacking and minimalism, or the downside, was that there was some issues with sound transfer. We have two little kids who like to run around, jump around, scream at the top of their lungs. And normally in a scenario, if you're young professionals without kids, you don't really have to worry about screaming at the top of your lungs and jumping off beds, unless you do, but that sort of thing. But for us, we found that sound transfer was significant. We were the loud ones, and we didn't want to be so loud for the tenants. While there was adequate soundproofing to some degree, we felt it wasn't enough. So that was one big negative when it came to the house hacking, the soundproofing aspect. So I would recommend anyone who is considering house hacking to soundproof to a higher degree to reduce any sound transfer issues, whether it's acoustic sound like from voices or impact sound from like footsteps. You want to mitigate both types of sound if you are planning to house hack. Number two negative, I guess, would be less space with two children. Wasn't as manageable as we thought. It was, for the most part, when things were open. So for example, during the day, my wife or myself would take the kids out to the earlier center or the mall or the park or the gym, which has childminding services, and that was fine. But during the illness, everything was shut down, and so we were not able to do that as much. And as a result, the kids had a lot of pent-up energy, and we just, we're trying to not be too loud during the day because we had rented out the space upstairs to a nurse who was working night shifts. And so we want to be respectful of her as well, given this whole situation. Takeaways from this video are: one, house hacking has a great impact on your financial goals and is worthwhile, with some caveats, of course. Two, minimalism is a great idea and can be applied in combination with house hacking for greater impact on your life, with some caveats, of course. And three, you should probably hit the like button. Thank you.